Bitcoin season 2 is coming at you fast. It is accelerating quicker than I can keep track. I woke up this morning and my DMs were absolutely packed and my notifications were totally full because there's about 10 different major narratives and things happening right now. Ordinals are kicking off, runes are kicking off, Bitcoin tech, there's a soft fork on the horizon. Michael Saylor said the wrong thing and people are defecting from him. But before all that, I got to shout out to our sponsor, Botanix. So here's Botanix. Bitcoin Season 2 is brought to you by Botanix. Botanix Labs is pioneering a new direction for DeFi with the first EVM L2 running on Bitcoin that's built to be forward secure, decentralized, and share gas fees generated by the network with users. See the future of DeFi at Botanix, botanixlabs.xyz. Yeah, so Bitcoin Season 2, this is the live stream. I cover kind of news events, what's happening in the new Bitcoin Season 2 landscape, and metrics. And on that topic, on the metrics topic, I've got a special guest with me today. Someone, it's no longer just me stumbling over the charts. I have Shudu from Liquidium, so I'm going to bring him up on stage. Welcome to Bitcoin Season 2, Shudu.
GM, Charlie, how are you?
I'm fantastic, and you are on a different continent, but that's a-okay. We're still gonna hit like what's going on in the ecosystem. And I've followed you for a while, and I'm really glad to have you up here to share some charts. So let's just get into it. Like you spun out a couple charts for me, and I just want to have you help talk me through these. What are you seeing in the Bitcoin and runes and ordinals ecosystem?
I mean, this is the alpha, right? Yes, a lot of alpha. So first thing first, for the longest of time, ordinals, especially when we said ordinals were dead, they were like dominating the runes ecosystem so much. But over a couple of days, we've started to see runes come back, and then now they're like 70% of the market is runes volume. So when you look at Bitcoin assets, you really see that runes are dominating. However, they are dominating in comparison with ordinals. When you look at over the past 4 or 5 days, we are starting to see this die off of momentum. If you look on the right there, we're starting to see a bit less and less volume from both the rune section and the ordinal section. However, if you compare that to where we were a month ago or so, it is still much more positive. But we're just sort of like, we need some new liquidity to come in, maybe from the east. So there is that slowdown. However, on that topic of some new liquidity, if you scroll down a bit, you will see that a lot of new projects that have been coming in on the rune section have been very beneficial for the ecosystem, for the miners, because you start to see tokens like Poker Cannot Be Stopped, Corda, Red Cat. They have been contributing about 5 BTC, 3 BTC, 2 BTC just over the 7 days.
Yeah, like I'm looking at this, and you've spun out this chart which looks at the various runes tickers and their minting and trading fees and how much they all generated. And I'm just doing some back of the napkin math here, but Puka, it's ZK from OMB's dog. 5 Bitcoin, that's like $250,000 in fees to Bitcoin miners just from one single runes mint in the past several days. This is significant.
No, the whole ecosystem is very, very significant. I mean, if this is how we sustain Bitcoin in the long run when
Yeah.
mining rewards are no longer. So this is just like one impact. Of course, people have different opinions, but the data on chain doesn't lie. So there is something solid here, something worth looking at. So you will see as you go on. And also, nice part is that this data is available. People can review this data, can download it, can remix it, all of that. So yeah, this is pretty cool. You can also just maybe scroll down a bit there. Just something again. If you look here, the best metric that we sort of look at is that if people are willing to lend or borrow against something that they own, especially lend against something, it means people value that collateral. And over the past couple of weeks, we've started to see more lenders, more people try and lend against a certain token, which they would accept it if a borrower defaults, and that's what they get. So this presents that shift in confidence that people are. I mean, if you ignore the past 4 or 5 days, but people are way more confident into lending against runes, which means the rune ecosystem is maturing and is getting some momentum, which is very, very interesting.
Yeah, let me switch over to the other charts you've spun out for me here. Just pulling really far back and looking at all like the overall marketplaces, both Ordinals marketplaces and some Liquidium data here.
Yes, I mean, Ordinals marketplaces, Magic Eden still dominates that for the longest time. So you've got that, and again, if you see the lending volume, also if, to mention Liquidia, you would say that the reason Ordinals have this higher confidence for the longest time until recently was because lenders were always willing to lend against that, which presented a certain level of confidence, and that's very, very important for the ecosystem. You need to be with people who are willing to collateralize or lend against that collateral. But also, if you just move up, which is this is what gets me the most bullish, just a bit up. This is what gets me the most bullish if you look at the rune stuff, because for the longest time we had OKX, which is more popular in the East, and this is the OKX DEX part, leading the volume part and the dominance part of the runes marketplace. And now Magic Eden came and took over. But Magic Eden is more popular in the West. So this could potentially mean that we haven't fully tapped into that Eastern volume. It could mean something else. It could also just mean Magic Eden is taken over, which is something else.
Yeah.
It's a very bullish metric, which might mean that maybe we haven't fully cracked and attracted that volume from the East, which means we can still go higher and have crazy amounts of volume.
You're giving me hopium, Shudu. The fact that we've had the market come back, and it doesn't even sound like we've tapped into the Asian degens is like the bull hopium that I really need to hear. I'll given that I want to try to keep this pretty tight, what's like a last kind of insight? What are you going to look at this week as far as like on-chain data, ordinals data? What are you looking at this week as we on the second half of October?
I mean, that's a very, very good question, and thank you. For me, it's over the past couple of days, weeks, you always said blue chip projects doing very well. Whether it's blue chip tokens, you can ignore Gizmo and Polka, which are fairly new, but yet these OG projects that have been doing well, yet these OG Ordinal projects that have been doing well. And for me to know that we are fully going to the moon, we need to start seeing that liquidity go into the mid caps. We need to start it trickling down. And the moment it starts to trickle down, the more I see a lot of these mid-range projects and mid-range tokens picking up that volume, then I know it's also only a matter of time before, every day there's a new project trending, like 5 of them, and then we're in the bull run. So I'm interested to see that liquidity flow from like the blue chips into the mid-range level. And then that would be, to me, that would be a very cool sign.
All right. Thank you so much, Shudu. I've loved having you on the show. If you guys like Shudu, let me know in the comments, and I'd love to bring him back because he's like my go-to insider on the data landscape in Ordinals. Shudu, I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next week.
Thanks for having me, Sean.
Okay, on to the rest of the news. As I said at the top of the show, there's like a lot of news, and I think the main thing I'm going to focus on here is switching gears on like the ordinals and runes data stuff. And actually, let's pull back and see that Michael Saylor this week, the most popular and influential person in Bitcoin right now, came out kind of hard against self-custody. He said that, quote, "You are a paranoid crypto anarchist if you hold your own keys and don't trust the government." Now, to me, that doesn't sound like a very Bitcoin-aligned thing to say. Not my words. Let's just listen to what he says.
By fewer large institutions. Does that increase the risk of seizure and confiscation like we've seen with gold? And is that not exactly what Bitcoiners don't want to happen?
No, I think it's the opposite. I think that when the Bitcoin is held by a bunch of crypto anarchists who aren't regulated entities, who don't acknowledge government or don't acknowledge taxes or don't acknowledge reporting requirements, that increases the risk of seizure. You have an OG crypto community that's very hardcore about it, but if you look at where all the money is, 99.9% of the money is actually in the traditional economy.
If you consider the Great Depression, I mean, people thought that untied. So
yeah,
people's
crypto anarchists that say that, okay? Because it's a myth and a trope that goes on over and over again. But first of all, he didn't really seize the gold.
So anyway, not my words. Those are Michael Saylor's words, criticizing people who value self-custody. So I would love to have someone who's got a very good critique of this position that Michael Saylor has. And I mean, notably, like here is Adam Simica, who I have indirectly butted heads with on topics such as ordinals. When it comes to issues of self-custody and pushing back against this particular narrative, like we're very in agreement that the large institutions of the world are probably not the best people to hold your Bitcoin. So what's to do about it? I don't know. As we accelerate into the Bitcoin, hyper Bitcoinized future, this is the other major narrative I'm watching. And this is kind of what I woke up to because, as Barry Silver would say, it's a big week. Notably, first of all, we have Magic Eden, quote, brace yourselves, Bitcoin Week is about to hit the home of Web3 starting today. Here are master plan for the future of Bitcoin on Magic Eden, including total mempool protection going live on 10/24, putting RBF to bed once and for all. That is, Magic Eden's going to be talking about Bitcoin a lot this week, rolling out their sniping protection with an interesting kind of co-signing scheme. But then also beyond that, they are rolling out. They're just doing a lot of
Magic Eden,
campaigns.
we're building the biggest on-chain economy directly on Bitcoin. Since its creation, Bitcoin has been the ultimate store of value, the top performing asset of all time across every conceivable time period. Over the past few years, new protocols ignited a renaissance on Bitcoin, transforming it beyond just a store of value and into a canvas for immutable digital art and a home for decentralized finance. At Magic Eden, we've invested early into this new Bitcoin ecosystem. First, we brought NFTs to Bitcoin.
So basically, Magic Eden is leaning hard into this like on-chain Bitcoin economy narrative, and this is probably the beginning of a large campaign week for them. I love to see it. Magic Eden got their start in Solana, if you remember, kind of went cross-chain, and now they're really leaning into the Bitcoin side of their business, really like popping up on spaces, focusing on rolling in more devs and dev tooling for their products. So this is going to be a very big narrative. Speaking of other narratives, something totally different, not Ordinals related. In this case, this is more of kind of a maxi story beat. This is Tour de Meester, longtime OG Bitcoiner, covering the European Central Bank piece right up on Bitcoin on the, quote, distributional consequences of Bitcoin, which basically says Bitcoin is bad because a bunch of early people own it, and this is bad because they'll get rich. And that is, of course, reductionist. But this paper solicited a lot of critiques from Tour and I think John Cavallo and other notable people who I respect in Bitcoin, saying that like this paper has conveniently ignores all the previous ECB comments on the matter, is completely full of inaccuracies and mischaracterizations. And so there's a lot of people tearing this apart. I wouldn't be surprised if we at Blockspace write something on this over the next week, or probably do a specific focused podcast or content. So this is major news. It appears that some of these larger, now state entities are recycling their existing criticisms of Bitcoin. Some Ordinals news beat. So not runes, but now Ordinals. I think we had one of the more fun 4 mega inscriptions this week from the Taproot Witches. If you aren't familiar with what a 4 mega is, it's basically like the largest type of inscription, the largest ordinal you can create. And you have to do a deal specifically with a mining pool so that they include this unconventionally large transaction. What are the Taproot Wizards or the Taproot Witches inscribed? They inscribed a moon, a 3D moon on a specific type of sat, on a 2-digit palindrome sat. This is really cool. I love to see it. I do love the thematic spooky vibe, given that it is spooky season and Halloween. Also in the news, more Bitcoin Fi, if you will, news beat. Hermetica, a Bitcoin-backed stablecoin on Bitcoin, raised $1.7 million from a lot of the notable investors in the space, Sats Ventures, CMS, Robin from Liquidium, the Arch guys, Farmer Joe, some trust machines, folks. So this is, we had a lot of raises this past week. I think we even, I think last week I talked about the $25 million raise from Solve Protocol. So keeping on the just the news beat, the Tapper Wizards are hiring. They have 2 new open positions, hiring a comms manager and an events coordinator. As someone who's worked with both the comms and events coordinators at Tapper Wizards, I endorse the team a lot. I think they're the best in the business. And wouldn't it be really cool to be a part of the team that throws the coolest parties regularly at a lot of the notable Bitcoin and crypto events? And then my last news, I'm trying to keep it tight, but like there's so much. To me, I think this is the most notable event in Ordinals of the week, maybe of the month. And it was like its title, Stealth Transactions. This was a bit of a stealth story. This is from Minifi, another Ordinals and Runes marketplace, where they announced they are rolling out stealth transactions. Maybe to the degen who doesn't follow this that much, it might be like, okay, it's like mempool sniping protection. Magic Eden's doing that too. Well, I've talked about this a lot, both publicly and written about this, which is this is a new. I just confirmed on the Ordinal Show Spaces just earlier that this actually is the first of its type that I'm aware of, which is a direct partnership with a mining pool where Minifi hands your transactions directly to a mining pool without broadcasting them publicly into what's called a private mempool. You might call them a dark pool. This basically means that snipers never see your transaction. This is a different technique than Magic Eden, which does, I believe, a combination of perhaps TapScript and additional signing passing back and forth in order to make it so that snipers cannot replace the output of the inputs and outputs of your transaction. Rather, Minifi is doing something which nobody else has done before that I'm aware of, which is a deal with a mining pool. If you've been listening to me, I talk about how kind of this has been kind of the white whale for events in the Ordinals news, like in the Ordinals like ecosystem, which is when are these marketplaces going to be able to do partnerships with mining pools? So I think this represents a very watershed moment in the ecosystem. Now, Minifi has a clean platform, and they will be charging a significant premium of 250% above your transaction fee in order to do this sniping protection. And then I'll also caveat that it is not like a normal transaction, and that your stealth transaction will be included in the next block that their partnered pool finds. So it's not going to be as immediate, perhaps, as other transactions. I do think that this is very, very significant and probably one of the most interesting events of the week for me personally, as I focus on like the developing relationships and dynamics of MEV, that is maximum extractable value, and the relationship between mining pools and Ordinals users. Now, last but not least, if you are not yet signed up for Op Next, this is a great opportunity to do so, and I'll give you my own discount code if you've made it this far in the stream. If you use the code SPEARS, that's my last name, SPEARS, you can get 30% off your ticket. This is an Op Next shill. What is Op Next? Is a scaling conference for Bitcoin builders and developers and founders. It's going to be more of a technical conference. This is not an Ordinals Degen conference, although Ordinals Degens are invited. This is going to be a conference where we've managed to get many of the notable Bitcoin core devs, large Bitcoin stakeholders, representation from the Bitcoin ecosystem, and we are going to have technical workshops, presentations on ideas for soft forks and how to activate them. This is kind of an ambitious conference. We're going to keep it pretty tight, pretty small, but it's November 9th in 3 weeks in Boston, Massachusetts at the Fidelity Center for Applied Technology, sponsored by Starkware, Second Gate, Tapper Wizards, and us at Blockspace. So make sure you get your tickets. We still have GA available, VIPs running out. And if you're a student with a valid student ID, it's only $25. So otherwise, thank you very much for listening to Bitcoin Season 2. And shout out to Shudu and the Liquidium team. If you are not yet subscribed to the Blockspace Media newsletter, blockspace.media, subscribe to the newsletter. We do great mining content, great Bitcoin Season 2 and Bitcoin tech content. And our other podcasts, The Guart Show, Mining Pod, and new Bitcoin Fi. Otherwise, see you all later. Adios.